might just be okay to not file tax returns for many, many years. However, you need to know the drawback for you not to file them. And listen up to this webinar and see whether you need professional help or not to get yourself caught up once for all. Have an easy life thereafter. And what I wanted to show you is a research I did, and I just saved the internet. I don't know whether you can see this really carefully, and if not, I can read it to you. So this table itself tells you that if you are single and you're under 65 years old, and if your income, total income of the year is less than 12,200, you don't need to file 1040. You don't have to file, okay? But if you're married, file jointly, and you are under 24,400, you don't have to file. If you're married, file separately, you need to file, period. There's only a $5 that you don't need to file. Other than that, you have. So you just remember, if you're married, file separately, you should file anyway. Head of household, under 18,350, you don't need to file. And the qualifying widower, people who lost their spouse, and 24,400. So this is actually pretty much the standard deduction threshold. So assume that if you made money, you already paid Social Security, Medicare, all of that stuff you need to pay. And if you don't want to file, that's fine. But let me say this, if you do have a W-2 income, it's probably beneficial to file because you have a withholding on there. Maybe you overpaid, so you can get that money back, right? And if you file, if there is a government benefit coming in, like stimulus check, then make sure that you get it. And then when you are a self-employed person and you need to file, and the only people who are self-employed, they're getting 1099 and stuff like that, they don't need to file if their total income for the year is under 400. So you hear me, right? So if, let's say, I do cleaning work for a company, they pay me 1099, and my 1099 is $390 for the whole year, and I don't need to file if that's my only income. But if I made $500, and even though it is under 12,200, I was showing you on the screen, but that still says that you need to file because you had it over. You're self-employed, so the threshold is very low, because when you are self-employed, remember you have to pay Social Security, Medicare, those taxes. We call them self-employment tax, right? So for that, you need to file. So to summarize that up, people who doesn't file 1040 are the one that are making very little money, and they already fulfill their tax responsibility on Social Security, Medicare side. If they have not, then they need to file, right? So then you're probably gonna say that, well, I'm just getting Social Security benefit right now. Do I need to file? Then you need to look up that table I was showing you. We do have that table here as well. And if you're single, you're on Social Security, it's 12,200. So if your total is less than that, you don't need to file. But if it is more than that, oh yes, you need to. So that kind of give you a understanding of the reasons for people who actually do not need to file, right? So they're under income threshold, and they're not having self-employment income, and they just don't want to pay the fees and the filing taxes, so they don't file. And my recommendation to those people who actually don't need to file, and they also don't want to spend the money to do it, and there's always the free places to go to get the tax filed for free. So right now, I would say to you that if you are one of those people, you really don't need to file, but you haven't filed for years, then I would recommend you to go to those VITA free tax help place. Have these people file all your return that you didn't do in the past. And momentarily, I will tell you why. It is rather, to me, looking at all these cases we have in the firm, I would recommend people to file no matter, because that gives a very good closure for the potential tax issues that you would have. Then some people don't file, not because of their income is low, it's because their income and their life is a mess. They really just don't want to think about it. And I have clients who come to me with boxes of IRS letters never even opened. We're talking about the letter was sealed. Some of them are 6 and 5 years old. So we have characters. I mean, in life, we all have areas that we avoid. And I didn't really want to tell all of you that what I avoid, but we all have those, okay? So you have that too. But some people just have it for taxes. So as soon as they hear the word of taxes, it's like they hear the word death. They do not do anything, right? So if you are one of those, or if your friend is one of those, that's why you are here today, and you just really need to treat that as a mental illness. We all have a mental abnormality in one way or another. In the different lifetime, we have different things, okay? So it's okay. It's so normal. It's part of a human life, right? But you just have to correct your perception. Know that that doesn't go away. If you have income you received, you do not file, it doesn't go away. The more and more so is true because the computer system have connected the world for us. So 10 years ago, when we file 1099 miscellaneous, and it was a paper got mailed out. So now 1099, those kind of paper are electronically submitted in, okay? So IRS received them electronically. So they went under your social security number or your company EIN number and sitting there waiting for you to report. If you never reported, the IRS know that you got income with you, you didn't report. And a real story, this just happened last week. We have a client who used to be our client because they used to operate a restaurant business and then they retired. The restaurant got sold and they're no longer doing that, okay? And this was back into 2015. We are in 2020, 5 years already. They got a letter. The letter says that they owe $260,000 taxes in 2015. So back then in 2015, that's when they actually closed their store. They exchanged the store. They sold the store to somebody else in 2015, okay? So we went back to look. So the sales was done on January the 1st, 2015. So they didn't have any income for that year. And they went on Social Security. So we didn't even have taxes filed because clients don't want to file taxes. They're done with their business and they're done with community CPA. And unfortunately, somehow they didn't file 2015. So now it's coming back, right? It says that they owe taxes. So after a lot of digging up, we realized what happened is the credit card machine that come with the business is actually deposited, shows that it is under his name, still under the seller's name. So they got year of 2015 with over close to $1 million sales. And that was on their personal tax record with IRS. So they didn't file. So their tax return was a substitute tax return done by IRS asking for payment. And this old couple and didn't come to see us and timely, so it was still in the envelope and they just showed us the most recent one. So that was already becoming a charge, the taxes assessed, interest penalty is accumulating. So here, I want to say to you is, there is two ways to avoid it. If they filed 2015 tax return, and that would already put into what we call the statutory limitation, IRS only go back 3 years to audit you. If it is happening in 2020, they can't even touch 2015. That should be done, and the done is dead. But it did not die. It did not die. It came to life because there was no return was filed. So that statute limitation never gonna apply. So this is where one of the benefit, it doesn't matter you need to file taxes or not, you should file. You should just file for that year. So you have a 3 years for IRS to challenge you, otherwise it's done, right? So this is where I always tell people, you file tax return versus you just know you don't qualify to file, you don't file. It is like the analogy between whether you have a missing person or you have a death certificate, the person's body you found it. So you can always consider this person is done, but if you don't file the return, it's never dead. It can come to life anytime because you just have a missing person status, right? So with that, and that is where we say that if you have income, you didn't file, trust me, you will never get away. You don't even have to tell me, oh, wow, I got away so far and I haven't really heard anything back from that time. I made a lot of money. And if you did not file a return to kill it, it will be there. It will come to life whenever the condition met. Maybe something else is wrong and they start to digging up your things and realize that, boy, this person never filed taxes for 10 years. Let's issue substitute returns for you. So all of these things, and you want to know that if you did make income, you need to file, period. And if you don't file, the consequences is that that nightmare can happen anytime for all kind of weird reason. So this client came back, and with this 2015 due, now we have to go back to dig up that business and figure out, whether the business filed those income or not. If they did, we can show to IRS that, look, this income doesn't belong to this old guy, belongs to that business. The business already filed a return, so dismissed, right? But that takes work. 2015 was a different buyer than 2020. So we have to go run around to figure out where is the original buyer is, figure out where is your taxes, or we have to write a letter to IRS goes, we don't know who that is, but this is not our income. Then we don't know whether that will be accepted by IRS. So with that, and it doesn't matter how stressed you are, filing taxes is just a process you need to go through, okay? And then the other thing I want to mention to you is the identity of yours. If you don't file tax return, it is very possible that your identity is being used by somebody else. So maybe that person is claiming whatever social welfare or making income, and just because it's a wrong address for you, so you never got it. You never received W-2, you never did anything, you don't know someone is using it. If you don't file your return, you're never going to know your identity is being used unless that person who uses your identity and it didn't really owe any money to IRS, there's no reason for you to get a letter. But if they did not do anything for you, and you can imagine, you're gonna get some income, you don't even know where that come from. Did that happen to my clients? Of course. I have a client who lives in Minnesota, and all of his W-2 is in California. And of course, he never got it. But then finally, he got this IRS letter saying that his withholding is too low and he need to increase his withholding. How did he get that letter? He got that letter because the IRS got the letter returned to them. And so the IRS received something else that he filed. He formed a company and with his name and address, so IRS matched it. So send him that letter, says that for the last 10 years and your 1040 wasn't done correctly. And then that's where we realize the identity is being stolen. Someone in California is using his social security number to do business. Okay, so with that is one way, file your return to make sure your identity is still yours. And a certain social benefit application also require you to file taxes. Even though you don't qualify to file, you can get away to not file. But when you, for example, if you got into disability claim, they would want to see your tax return. And if you apply for a small business loan, they require you to see your tax return. So there's so many things out there. Your tax return is a necessity. So that's another reason for you, for a non-qualified filer. I know you don't need to file, right? And then of course, a stimulus check this year is a good example, right? And people who didn't file and they don't get their stimulus check automatically. Only the Social Security benefit people gets it, but there are non-filers. People just didn't make any money. They think they don't need to file. They're already in poverty, but they don't get the stimulus check. So if you are one of those, know that in 2020 or right now to file 2019, even if you don't have any income, file 0, send it in. That way you get your stimulus check. So this is where I'm here to say that I don't really agree with those people who believes that they don't need to file taxes. I have so many examples to prove to you that's not a good practice if you keep on skipping your taxes. Okay. Then the other thing I want to mention to really pull that out for you is the statutory of limitation the IRS has. So 3 years. So what that means is, let's say we file 1040 today, right? Let's say we filed our 1040 2019 on April 1st, like, during the pandemic time, we filed it. So 2019. And that 2019 tax return will be out of statutory limitation on April 15, 2023. What do I mean by that? So by the time you pass April 15, 2023, they cannot audit your 2019 taxes anymore. It's done. It's dead. Statutory limitation expired. So you're done. They can only audit you for tax return you file 2020, 2021, 2022. Okay. So this is where I want you to understand. So in other words, today, the return you filed on April 15 of 2017, that was your 2016 1040 return. Remember that one? That one, if you did not get an audit letter today, you are done. You are done to worry about you're being audited for 2016. Okay, so this is where I want you to understand the statute of limitation, a huge benefit why you should file your 1040. And, what if you are in the boat right now, just trying to decide whether to file or not? So I will say to you that if your tax return is really simple, you don't need to file, you qualify to not file. But now after you hear me and you feel like you want to get it done, and that's okay. I want you to go to the tax-free filing places to get that all caught up. And they can do that for you because your tax return is simple. So it is under their scope. So they actually do it for you. But if you have businesses and you had made income, you just don't know how much you made, or if you are just having this mental blockage, don't want to think about it, and what we want you to do is you pack up all your IRS garbages and put in the box, tie a beautiful ribbon for us, and leave it outside our door and ring the doorbell. We're still seeing people by appointment, so you can drop off things and you can make appointment to come in. We have all these COVID procedures in the firm to make sure our precious accountants are not going to be, um, um, not going to catch president's virus, okay? And he calls the virus China virus, so I call that president virus. So don't catch president virus, and you drop off your beautiful box with a ribbon, so that way, and we can look into it, come up with a plan for you, and we will tell you how much it will cost your life to get it caught up, but we will promise you we can get that caught up. And so I don't want you to have that mental blockage just because I know how you feel. I have worked with people. We're so good. We're so good at saving people. I'll tell you a story. One gentleman, he actually works at a really good place. It's a government agency, and he makes very good money. And he didn't file his taxes for 7 years. And of course, he gets the W-2, right? Because he works for the government. So he always overpaid his taxes, I believe. And only 1 year he has to pay, but the rest of the year he gets money back. But because 7 years he didn't file, we can only get back 3 years tax refund. The other 4 years is all wasted. And so for that, he came in, he told us that the reason he didn't file his tax return, because he got divorced with his wife in that year, so he was going to kill himself. So he was so depressed, he actually was going to kill himself. So of course he doesn't care about taxes. So he didn't file for 7 years. By the time he sits in front of, across the table from me and we talk, poor guy, he cried and he's like, I couldn't believe that I can get over with the divorce, but I did get over. Now I have a new love. So I want my things to be in place. So people, we go through stuff like that. I'm so understanding of how that moment people decide I'm not doing taxes because I'm scared and I don't care. And what can they do? Catch me if you can, that kind of thing. But we will come to realization that those things doesn't go away. See, the sad things for him, and he has tax refund he should be getting, he couldn't because statutory limitation expired. It serves on both ways. If you owe taxes, never expires, but they don't audit you, then you pay taxes. But if you have refund, you don't get it because it's expired and it's too long ago. So make sure that you do come around. If you know someone stuck in that situation, just tell them that you literally can go to community CPA, figure that out, or go to other CPA firm. I don't know which firm receives the gift box with beautiful ribbon, but we're the one do that. And you make sure you put on beautiful ribbon for us. And then you can really talk to your CPA, whoever you trust, your attorney, and take control of that situation. And for those who wants to do it yourself, I already told you, and you can go to the free place, or you can do it on the IRS website. IRS website, you can file your taxes. They also have a place where you can do taxes for free. And that would be a place, the only place I would go. If I deal with tax issue, I go to IRS. And you can go to IRS to get your tax record. Do you know that, folks? And I am going to briefly show you where to do that. And you can print out your old tax forms from IRS website. Do you know how to do that? You can mail in your tax return to IRS. So just do it yourself. That's totally good. If you have just one dying question when you are doing it yourself and you don't know how to answer, you know that you can call community CPA and we will help you. We're here to help people. We really understand what we're going through. And so I'm actually showing you the IRS website. I already dug into some different website, but when you log into irs.gov, you see, this is what I put in. You come into this website and do your taxes for free. Come on, folks. Okay, you don't have to come to community CPA. I already told you where to do it for free, right? And you can also get your tax records. See that? All right. And if I click this and it asks you, do you want to request it online or by mail? And you can do it online. You can do it by mail. Let me tell you this. we just had a meeting with my, with my national taxpayer committee panel that I'm on, and we are improving this request online, because you can only request that online when you have a cell phone. The cell phone has to be under your name. So when you go in, they send you a code, then they verify your identity, all of that stuff. So if you don't have a cell phone, that doesn't work for you, but you can request by mail, right? So I just want you to know that, every effort we're doing and trying to make that simple for you, and you know that IRS is really trying their best to get you to pay their taxes, and not like someone pay only $750 in 10 years time. I don't know who that is, but I heard that story already. So as a tax professional, I am amazed with the tax planning the CPA firm did for that taxpayer. And I hope that one day I'll gain so much knowledge, and then I can serve people in that category, and also make them pay $0 for 100 years. 10 years is too short, 100 years. And that wrap up my conversation with you today. And we are 2 minutes from my projected 30 minutes time. I am so happy that I did it. I hope that you enjoyed it. And remember, you can always find us on our website, right? Do you know what is our website? www.communitycpa.com. And that is our YouTube. And I hope to see you and like us and support us by showing your thumb up. Okay, talk to you. Bye.